Hey everybody, welcome back to the Time Pass podcast. This is your host, Ashika. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at timepass_podcast. And check out the YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes of the Time Pass podcast. You can also find me on Ruckus Avenue Radio, Sundays and Mondays. And please make sure that you are liked, followed, or subscribed on your listening platform of choice. If you are an auditory listener, wherever you tune into podcasts, please make sure that you like, follow, or subscribe to the Time Pass podcast. All right, you guys, how's everybody doing? I have been so busy. I'm getting ready to leave for a little vacation here in a few days. So I'm telling y'all now, fair warning, there may not be a show next Sunday. I may not have time to record a show to have ready to go on Sunday. I'm sorry. I really want to, but I'm just so busy. This is going to be a whole other show because I need to talk about setting some boundaries with my time because I just keep doing things I'm passionate about, like things I don't want to say no to, but I need to learn to say no to other things if I'm going to do some other things. I don't know. It's a balance. But anyway, I would like to talk about one simple word today, and that is hope. Now, funnily enough, okay, lately, y'all that are my followers on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook have been super on it, and the reels and the sounds that I've been using have been really resonating with people. And it's funny because I have a friend from the gym, Shelly. She's the girl that I did the plunge with. She sent me a reel 2 weeks ago, and she sent it to me because her and I are both single, and we complain about the non-existent men who are in our life but aren't in our life to each other when we see each other at the gym. And anyway, so she sent me this reel about being single and so single, and it was hilarious because it was actually a South Asian woman, and she had an Indian accent, and she sent it to me and she was like, oh my god, this sound is perfect for you, you need to do it. So I saved it and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious, but she was just like, I'm so single, I'm not even talking to anybody, I'm not even dating anybody, I'm not even meeting anybody, and it was hilarious. And so I recorded it the other day, and then I released it on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, like I do. Make sure you follow me on all those platforms. But so many people found it funny and then laughed, but it was a really good friend of mine. I've known her since she was a student at Sacramento State University, and then she interned for me in my professional career, and then she became a part-time worker for me, and then she became a full-time worker under me. I've seen her get engaged, I've seen her have a baby, I have seen these major moments in her life, and it's so funny, but I have maintained friendships with a lot of people that have worked for me in the past, especially if you were a good employee. So anyway, we have this friendship, and she knows me well because she's worked for me for so many years, from intern to part-time employee to full-time employee, all under me. She knows my moods really well. It was so hilarious because I'm OCD, I'm a neat freak, and I like my desk to be clean. When I go to my desk in the morning, I put out the things that I want to work on, and that's what's on my desk. And nothing else. Everything has a place. And so coworkers that have worked with me have always known that if they walk into my office or into my workspace and my desk is in disarray, turn around and walk out because I'm not in a good mood. I'm probably stressed about something or working on a big project. And she was just hilarious because she caught on to this very quickly, and I feel like if she sensed any sort of irritability in me, even when she worked for me full time, she would just kind of come into my office and start cleaning up papers on my desk and filing them away. And the first time she did it, I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, you seem a little stressed. I know, like, I'm just going to get this stuff off your way because I know it helps calm your mind. And I was like, man, like, she gets me. Like, she really gets me. And so I posted that reel, and it was hilarious because she commented on it. First she did the LOL emoji, and then she messaged, and she was like, bullshit. You are too much of a romantic to not be, like, talking, like, to not have anyone in your life right now. And it was funny because I almost felt like she wanted to say, like, you're too much of a hopeless romantic, but then she didn't put that in. And then, of course, it made me think, and I was like, of course I'm single. I don't have anybody who has expressed an interest in me and is messaging me constantly or talking to me or taking me out on dates or anything like that. So I am detached at the moment. And so it was funny because I am a hopeless romantic, and I get myself into a lot of trouble. And my good friends know this about me, and she knows this about me, because I tend to hold on to hope for connections or situations longer than I probably should. But, you know, it's okay to have hope. Like, it's okay to have hope. There's nothing wrong with having hope that things are going to work out for you in your life. Like, that's the thing. So I started thinking about this because I get a lot of flack for my hope, and from really good friends of mine. And I know that they're just looking out for me, but it's always been this way where people are just like, you, like, no, like, don't be, like, no. And I'm just like, I just don't see a reason to not have a positive outlook or not, like, think. I did a reel on this, like, months ago, but it was like, what if everything works out for you? Like, change your mentality, change your mindset. Why wouldn't you want to think that everything's going to work out for you? Like, I'm a big believer in, like, manifestations and thinking positively, and also detachment. And we're going to talk about hope and detachment in a second here. But why do I want to sit there and dwell on things negatively, or sit there and think like, nothing works out for me, it's never going to work out for me? Like, as a human, do I have those thoughts? Yes, absolutely. Do I have those moments? Let me tell you a story. I had a moment on Friday, this past weekend, I had a moment where I just knew I needed to be alone, and I needed to just have, like, a moment. And it was so funny because I went to the gym Saturday, and I was giving my trainer flack because, y'all, I've talked about it before, but, like, when I need my alone time, like my moments, and I want to process things, and I just want to think about everything and kind of reflect on the things that are going on in my life, and figure out how I really feel about situations, a lot of times that involves my bourbon, my music, and my books. Like, that's it. Like, that's what I need. And I know, like, when I'm reading, you're like, how could you possibly be reflecting when you're reading? But it's like, it's just how I work. It's how I operate. And it was so funny because I really just wanted, like, I told my trainer this, I was like, I really wanted to get drunk on Friday. And I was like, and I couldn't, and it's your fault. And she's like, what? How is it my fault? She's like, because you had to wake up and come to the gym Saturday, so you didn't drink like you wanted to? And I was like, no, it's your fault because I work out so much with you that I had 2 drinks, and my body and my muscles were like, oh, you're tired, go to bed. And I fell asleep. Which is also a good thing, right? Like, it's a good thing. You don't need to, like, get drunk over things, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I just want to, like, have my bourbon, cry, and read my books and listen to my jams. Like, that's how I process things. That's me. I make no apologies for who I am. But, you know, everybody has those moments of feeling sorry for themselves. And we need to be there, and it's important to feel those moments and cry through them or listen to music through them. However you process it, it's important to do it. And I strongly believe in that. But I also say this all the time on the show, Time Passers, you know this, it's okay to feel how you feel. You just can't live there. You can't live there for a long time. Like, honestly, I felt that way Friday. I woke up Saturday and I felt better. Like, I did a little bit of what I wanted to do on Friday, and I kind of processed and reflected, and Saturday I woke up and I had like a new resolve. Like, for me, it's a good way to process things, and usually the next day after doing something like that, I wake up and I'm like, okay, like, you had your pity party, and now it's time to move on. It's time to be hopeful for the future and look forward to the future. And so I do get a lot of flack for this, especially because now if you're an OG time passer, you've been through season 1, you have heard of some of the major heartbreaks I've had. And spoiler alert, it had nothing to do with my husband or my divorce. My major heartbreaks have been like, well, one was after my divorce. One was before I got married. But actually, I don't think I've shared that. That's a deep story. Anyway, but you've heard these stories of like different connections that haven't worked out in recent years. One was in the COVID in 2020, and then the first relationship I got into after I separated from my husband, which I waited like months before dating anybody, like, and then I got into this sticky situation. But it was a huge heartbreak for me a few years ago because I was in that situation for almost 3 years. And I think a lot of my friends and people that love me and care about me, when they see me starting to develop feelings for someone, they always are like, okay, like, all right, like, are you going to be more careful? Are you going to be more like cautious? And I'm like, guys, I'm such a hopeless romantic. Like, I just throw caution to the wind. I do. Like, if I genuinely like somebody and have feelings for them, I do think optimistically. That's just who I am. I'm a positive person. I like to think, what if everything works out? What if everything works out for me? Like, that's my mentality. That's who I am. And like, Fabian, my best friend, he knows this about me. And as much as I think he wants to protect me, because there is a certain naivete that comes with me being that way. As much as he wants to protect me, he also knows, and he says this often, he's like, because I'll tell him, I doubt myself all the time, and I'll say like, I just need to shut down. I just need to like do my thing and not talk to anybody. And, when you get upset and frustrated, you're just like, I just need to be a bitch and not talk to anybody ever again. And, he always says it, even though I think he would prefer to protect me from my own hopelessness, my own hopefulness. He's like, yeah, but that's not you. And that's true. It's just not me. Like, I'm a pretty positive person. I'm sarcastic as hell. Don't get me wrong. If you're a good friend of mine, you hear me like pop off all the time. I am sarcastic as hell. I am also a realist. So I will say things that are very real and fears that I have, even in a connection. But I am always hopeful. I like to keep that positive outlook on things. And it's funny because my boss, who hasn't known me for very long, I started this new organization in August, but it was like a couple months ago or something. It was anecdotal, but he was complaining to me about something in his personal life, and I was like, oh, blah blah, not that bad. And he's like, of course you'll say that. Your glass is always half full. And I'm like, how do you know that already? Like, how do you know that already? But I guess if you're perceptive, you'll find that out about me. I'm a very optimistic person and very positive, and I like to think positively. I think good thoughts. I did a whole show on thinking good thoughts, on positive thinking, and how I think it really helps us as individuals to have a positive mindset. And so I started thinking about hope, and, you know, the main flack and criticism that I hear from my friends is like, it's a criticism, but then there's also a compliment in it, I think, sometimes. Because I've had friends say it to me, like, I don't know how you do it. Like, you get your heart trampled on, and then you just go back out there, and you're ready to, like, trust again 100%. And I'm like, I don't know how I do it. Like, I just do. And a lot of times it depends on the connection of the person, how much I'm going to trust and whatnot. But I've heard people say it in awe, like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you just keep going out and doing this. I've heard friends who care about me a lot, like, be worried about me, and they're like, hey, like, you can't keep doing this. Like, you need to, like, protect yourself and, like, build some, like, walls and barriers up. And I'm like, again, it's not that I do have my own walls and barriers that someone has to go through. I have my baggage, but it's just that I like to think that everybody starts off with, like, a clean slate, almost like trust, you know, like you trust somebody, like, it's not like they're given trust right away, but it's like they have it, right? Like, trust is there. And then whether or not you trust them or don't trust them is based on their actions, right? So it's like a spectrum, sort of. And maybe this is like not trusting, and this is trusting. And when you start off with someone, they're in the middle, and then their actions will determine where they land in your spectrum of trust. That's kind of how I feel about, like, my positive thinking and my the way I treat connections. It's like, I'm going to start off hoping for the best, and the way actions happen in this connection is how we're going to end up. I don't know. So I started thinking about hope, because I do think that a lot of people don't have hope anymore. I think a lot of people are bitter, guarded, maybe the better word, like very guarded. And I think in the long run, being so guarded does more harm to you than it does help. And it's important to work through those feelings as to why you are feeling guarded or feel the need to keep people at arm's length, because that's how you heal. And then that's how you move on, and you can develop genuine connections with someone and be vulnerable and have intimacy with someone. So I started thinking about hope, and it's funny because when I looked up the definition, and now it's funny, it's in the Oxford Dictionary, but they classified it as the archaic definition of it, but they said it's a feeling of trust. And I think that's really what hope is. Hope is intangible. You can't measure, well, I guess you could measure it, but in a way, but you can't, you know, it's intangible. It's a belief, and it can be strong, or it can be weak, you know, it can be whatever you make it to be. You know, I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it, you know, a better analogy for it, but it can be this small little thread, or it can be this giant rope in your life, your hope. And I found this article that I really enjoyed, and it was talking about why hope is so important. So I want to share 7 of those points with you. And the thing that I loved about this article is it started out with a quote from Desmond Tutu, and I think it describes hope perfectly. And it was, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness. And to me, that's what brings me out of all my heartbreaks. That's what brings me out of all my dark places. Like, when I have those Friday nights where I'm doing the bourbon and the music and the reading, what pulls me out of that the next day is like, brand new day. I see the light. Like, my life's not going to be like this forever. Like, it's going to get better. Things will change. Like, we're always progressing. Things are always moving. Nothing stays the same. Nothing stays the same. Things are always moving. Things are always changing. So, to me, that's my hope. Like, my hope is that light that gets me out of those dark places that even optimistic, glass half full me goes to. And I can get there quite often, but I just have to pull myself out of that place. So let's talk about this. Why is hope important? Number one, hope is a healer. It reminds us that things, this is what I just said, it reminds us that things will get better. Like, sure, you may feel like shit now, but you're not gonna always feel like shit. Like, it'll get better. Things will get better. Things will change. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly learning. We're constantly growing. You're not gonna be in the same place today that you're gonna be in a year from now. I'm not in the same place today that I was in the same place last year. No, constantly growing, evolving. So hope just reminds us that hey, you may be feeling like trash right now, but you're not always gonna feel this way. Things are gonna change. They're gonna get better. Number two, hope shows us how to act. So I'll use my example again from Friday, but like, it's like, yeah, I had an episode, like a dark moment where I just needed to like reflect and be by myself on Friday. But when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't in that, I had memories of that dark place last night, because you wake up and you think about, okay, what happened last night, and you think about it. But I woke up and I have hope. I woke up and I went to the gym. I did what I normally do. Like, I could have slipped back into that negative place that I was in the night before and just pulled the blankets over my head and stayed in bed, and nobody would have said anything about it. But because I have hope, I move forward and do positive things for myself. I see new opportunities and things that are presented to me, and I take advantage of those things, because you never know what something can lead to. Like, that could be your dream coming true right now, like this opportunity that presented itself to you. So I had a busy Saturday and I didn't have a great Friday, but I woke up, I went to the gym, I had, my positive outlook, I had things to do, I had to go to this event, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like, and I had a great time. Like, having hope, like, it forces you to act positively. Like, you do positive things for yourself. Okay, number three, hope is a motivator. You wake up and it reminds you to keep going. Similar to what I was talking about, like the healthy habits, right? Like, you wake up and because you have hope, you can sit there and say, wow, this is really hard for me right now. But you know what? I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other and take it one day at a time. Like, one day at a time. I would say I felt this way earlier this year. I had gone through something and I was kind of lost for a little bit, disappointed, whatever I was. And because I have hope that everything's going to work out for me in the end, I leaned on my healthy habits, and I had committed to do like a 6-week program, working out 6 days a week for 6 weeks in the beginning of the year. And I leaned on that, and I just used that every day. Like, I was just like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to get to that goal. I'm going to get to that finish line. It's just one foot in front of the other. And it just kept me going. It was a motivator for me. It works. Okay, number 4, hope encourages self-belief. So when you have hope and you have that mentality, like I'm saying, like, oh, like, what if everything works out for me? Like, what if this is the thing? Like, what if this is gonna work out? Because you think positively, you are more likely to take risks in your life. You are more likely to not be turned away by a challenging situation or by something that may seem daunting, because you have hope. And it's like that trust, it's like this intangible trust that, hey, if I do this, it's gonna work out for me. Like, I believe in myself. I know. It's like a self-confidence thing, right? It's like, I know that if I do this, I'm gonna do it to the best of my capability. And sure, it doesn't look like, the odds may not be in my favor, but I'm gonna do this because I wanna do this. And I know, it could all work out for me. So I'm gonna give it a go. Whereas some people will say like, oh man, I wanna do this, but this doesn't look like something that is gonna work out for me in the long run. So I'm not gonna do this. And that could be as simple as taking a new job, moving somewhere, a relationship, whatever it is, it's these little risks sometimes that we're unwilling to take. A lot of times, and I hear a lot of colleagues of mine say this, but sometimes it's a demotion, like changing your job title. And although it may be a better fit for you and you may learn more for it, people are really hesitant to take that risk because they're like, what if I can never get back to this where I am now? And it's like, you're going to do the best of your capability, and you have to have that trust in yourself. So hope kind of gives you that self-belief in yourself. Okay, number 5, hope combats negative thoughts. This is interesting because it's so true. It's like if you have negative thoughts, you don't have any hope at that moment. But if you have hope in your life, and if you're thinking like hopeful thoughts, it's really hard to be negative and hopeful at the same time. And it's not that they cancel each other out, it's just they can't exist together. In my mind, when I'm being negative, I'm like, yeah, nothing ever works out for me, blue, boo-hoo. But when I'm being hopeful, I'm like, yeah, okay, like the universe has my back, like whatever. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The universe has my back. I'm just gonna be me. I'm a good person. I do good things. Like I'm gonna let things play out and fall as they may. Like that's hope. And when you think that way, and you're starting to think that way, at the same time, you can't be negative. Try it. You can't. It doesn't work that way because of the fact that you're being hopeful and positive. The negative thoughts just don't come into your mind because you're focused on the positive. Another thing that has to do with negativity here, but hope brings inner peace. So similarly, right, the number one, this isn't a statistic, this isn't something from the article, but number one reason that I hear that people fall into depression is because they feel this sense of hopelessness and despair. And when you have hope, you don't have that hopelessness and despair. You kind of have an inner peace about you. Like I said, it's like that feeling like, hey, it'll work out for me. It'll work out for me in the end. And if it doesn't work out for me, it's not the end. I did a reel using that phrase also. Anyway, but again, it brings inner peace. Number 7, hope is contagious. People want to be around positive people. People want to be around people that have a positive outlook. Now, you may have cynics like my boss, right? My boss that was like, your glass is always half full. I think as much as he appreciates my outlook on life, he's also a little cynical because he's like, it's that naivete that comes with me being so hopeful all the time, right? I just like to think everything will work out in the end. Like I don't know. If it doesn't, I'm prepared. I'm not gonna have a meltdown if something goes wrong. But I don't like to foreshadow negativity. I like to foreshadow positivity. I like to manifest positive things to happen, not negative things to happen. I like to be prepared for the negative. I'm like a Boy Scout in that, like always be prepared. But I don't know. I want to be around like-minded people that are positive and people that radiate positivity and that are hopeful and happy. And I find that a lot of my friends who like to spend time with me and be around me will call a word that they use to describe me is positive, that they think that I'm a really like positive person. Sarcastic as hell, but in the long run, especially my advice, like I very much tell people to listen to their hearts. Like, I have a head, I have a heart, but I tend to listen to my heart because I just do. It's just who I am. But, you know, people will describe me as positive, and I think those people like to be around me because of that reason. And I find myself gravitating more towards positive. Nobody wants to be around a Debbie Downer. I don't. I fucking run. I do not like that sort of energy. Like, I don't. Woe is me. Like, Eeyore, get the hell out of here. Like, just be happy. Be happy. And you don't have to be happy all the time, but like, don't be a negative Nancy. Like, sorry, Nancy's of the world, but people want to be around hope and positivity, and that becomes contagious, right? You talk about it a lot, like if you're working in a team on a project, and once you develop, like, everything is like going your way and the project's going well, there's like this synergy, right? This like unspoken sort of energy that develops when you're working on something, say with a team, and things are going really well, and it's like everybody feels it. You're on that train, you know, like you're like, okay, this is going well. We're gonna get this. Like, this is gonna work. We're gonna reach our goal. Like, it's that. It's like people want that. That's amazing. Honestly, I still talk about it to this day. The best team I ever had working for me was pre-pandemic 2019. That summer, I had the best team ever working for me. And every day going into the office in our wing was like, it was just me and my people, my little department. And there was just this synergy. Like, everybody was on the same level. Everybody was committed. Everybody had good attitudes. Everybody knew how to let loose and have fun. We took care of each other. Like, oh, the best team ever. Like, people want to be around people like that. It lifts you up. So it's contagious. Hope is contagious. Energy is contagious. And people want to be around positive energy. So I think that those reasons as to why hope is important really resonate with me. And for you more facts and figures people, there's also positive physical health benefits to being a hopeful person. Number one, people who have hope are have a higher functioning immune system. People who have hope usually get a better prognosis in chronic illness. And people who have hope have decreased sensations of pain. And a lot of that is because of the reasons that I mentioned. Like, hope's a motivator. Hope's a healer. Like, it'll push you forward to make positive choices and healthy habits. And then the fifth one, which I did talk about, but having hope combats feelings of hopelessness and despair, which emotionally, it improves your emotional health because it can keep depression at bay. Right? I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I get a lot of flack for being such a hopeful person. But I think it helps me be who I am. It is who I am. And I think that there's a lot of positive things to having hope in your life. How hopeful are you? How much hope do you have? Try it. Practice having a little more hope. Practice letting hope heal you and letting hope keep the negativity at bay. And if anything, let hope give you that self-confidence and that self-belief that, hey, you know what? This will work out for me because I'm the one who's in control of the situation. I'm the one that's doing this, so it's gonna work out for me. Who doesn't want that? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you hopeful people or are you cynics? Are you glass half fulls or glass half empties? Do you think I'm a crazy positive person? I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm a crazy positive person. But like I said, I'm not trying to push you to be happy all the time or to be like excessively hopeful to where, you know, you got to beat yourself up if you're having a bad day. Like I said, I have bad days. I go to those dark places in my mind. I'm not perfect. But because I practice positive thinking and I'm a hopeful person, I have those pity parties and I pull myself out and just get back to my routine and my healthy habits and doing what I need to do. And I think that resilience and that perseverance, I think hope helps with perseverance too, is what makes me who I am. Anyway, let me know what you think about hope. Shoot me an email or a DM. That's all I got for you guys today. If you haven't done so already, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, everywheres. Make sure that you are liked, followed, and subscribed to the YouTube channel. You can find me on RuckusAvenueRadio.com. Check me out there. And please, I would love to hear from you. If you are a supporter of the show and you want to do something nice for me, I would love it if you would share the show with at least one person. That's really the best gift you can give me. Just help spread the word about the Time Pass podcast. I would love that. Stay authentic, guys, in everything you do. Don't let the assholes get you down. That's the thing, right? Like I always say, it's a power thing for me. Like I never want to give somebody that lets me down that much power over me to where they alter my character and who I am as a person. So that's why I choose to remain hopeful, because I want to stay true to myself and I want to stay authentically me. So stay authentic, and I will see you next time.